Alrighty, so I think we're gonna get started. Thank you, Dr. Lebold and Michelle, for attending today. We are happy you're here, and we hope that you learn a bit more about PA Med, the types of benefits and services that we offer to our members. But Janet and I are also here to learn a bit more about you and how we can better serve our members. So as Janet said, please feel free to talk with us if you have a question. Please feel free to interrupt us, or you can put your question in the chat, and I will be monitoring that throughout, so nothing will hopefully be missed. But hello, everyone. My name is Avery Crott, and I am part of the PA Med membership team. With me today is the other half of the PA Med membership team, Janet. I'm going to have her introduce herself in a little bit. I just started PA Med about a year ago. I'm located in Hershey, PA, so I'm kind of located on the other half of the state. Janet, if you would like to share a little bit about where you're at and how long you've been with PA Med.
Sure. Thanks. Hello. Thanks for joining us today. We are excited to continue to offer these calls on a monthly basis, and every month they're a little bit different. So if you get some great information today and you want to come back next month, chances are we will be sharing some different information moving forward. So keep your eye out for our future promotions. I am Janet Thompson. Thanks, Avery, for the introduction. I've been with PA Med for almost 24 years. I am a little different from Avery, where I live absolutely as far away from PA Med as possible. I am located in the Erie area. Our job is to work with our members to ensure that they're taking advantage of their resources, to make sure you know what's out there for you, and to help you find and gain access to what it is that PA Med can provide you. Additionally, we work with administrators and our physicians, lead staff, to ensure that they too have access to the resources that might help them from a practice perspective. So as we talk today, if you have any questions about anything that we bring up, you're welcome to post it in the chat, or you can certainly reach out to Avery and I after the call. Thank you for being here. And Avery, I will go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Janet. So I think with that, if you could advance the slide, please. And Janet, please feel free to interrupt me if there's anything I'm missing, or if you have any additional information, feel free. So again, we're super glad you're here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to learn more about PA Med. As we go through this presentation, we wanted to pose some questions to you just to kind of think about, and if it stirs up any conversation, or say, what are your biggest practice issues? If you have one you would like to talk about, again, please feel free to interrupt or put it in the chat. As there are only 2 attendees on the call today, we would love to have an open discussion if you would like. So these questions, just keep in the back of your mind, and if anything comes up, feel free to interrupt. So we are kind of focusing on what are your biggest practice issues, what keeps you up at night, and how can PA Med better serve you? And I feel like the second question could be very easy to answer, because there's always something keeping you up at night, especially when it comes to work. Janet, next slide, please. All right, so briefly, I wanted to introduce our 174th PA Med president. If you are not already aware, that is Dr. Kristen Sandell. She is, I believe, almost finishing up her term, but throughout, she has been focused on revitalizing our profession, working to restore the joy of practicing medicine. She's dedicated to putting the passion back in medicine, as over the years, physician burnout and stress has probably just amplified, especially with COVID. And she's super passionate about treating those kinds of issues so physicians can take care of their patients better and get the best care possible. And in ways that she is trying to focus on that is not through a burnout seminar or they'll do some yoga, although that may help. she wants to kind of get to the root of the problem and hear from physicians, hear from our members, kind of what they're struggling with, and try to identify creative solutions. So she's very passionate about addressing the burnout and stress of physicians, but she also wants to kind of take some negative and turn it into positive. She really wants to share the joy of medicine, to remind physicians why they started medicine in the first place. And for a lot of people, that's helping patients and making their life better. And she wants us to share that. It's so obvious to focus on the negatives in any job, but she actually put up a place on our website. It's called Share the Joy, that she is encouraging physicians and medical staff to share their joy, whether that was a great conversation with a patient or an interaction with a staff member that really made your day. We want to hear about it. And although we're trying to address the negatives that kind of face healthcare in Pennsylvania, we also want to focus on the positives and keep pushing that forward. So she's super passionate about that. Additionally, she is also very passionate about emergency department overcrowding, which she has been so successful at addressing that there was a task force created that I believe is now at the State Department of Health level. Janet, is that correct? Yep. So it did so well now that they are actually going to be moving forward with her initiative. So if you're interested in learning more about her initiative and how we're working to restore the joy in medicine, please feel free to hop over to our website, as Dr. Sandell has a page dedicated to her that shares a bit more about what she hopes to do as her time as president.
And Avery, if I could quickly chime in, I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to be with Dr. Sandell yesterday at Geisinger School of Medicine. And it was really exciting for me to watch her with a group of medical students and share almost the challenges that are about to be faced while also sharing the greatness that it gets to be faced. And that's a really interesting concept when you think about you all choose to practice medicine. You choose to be, in this light of saving patients and helping patients. Yet at the same time, you know that you're going to walk into some challenging moments and experiences. So one of the things that I took home from that was her desire throughout the rest of the year to get out to different groups, different organizations, different hospitals. So if either of you know of a group that is looking for a speaker, she's pretty dynamic and she's really passionate. So if you are interested in bringing someone maybe into your practice to talk to yourself and your fellow physicians, maybe you have a hospital or a large group system, feel free to reach out to us and we can help, check and coordinate her schedule, because she's really very interested in seeing as many people as she can while she is president, and we've got her for a couple more months. Is there a cost to this? No, absolutely there isn't. The Pennsylvania Medical Society supports our president and our leadership going out to different groups. Something that is often asked after, is there a cost, would be, is there CME? There is not CME related to or connected, if you will, to her presentation. But no, we would absolutely pick up the cost for her to travel to your group, and we do not charge, and she does not charge an honorarium to do that. That's a great question. Thanks for asking it. Avery, I'll go ahead and send it back to you. And certainly if you have more questions, we can talk through getting Dr. Sandell out to you. We both get really excited when we get to support the president at some of our different meetings and functions. So we can absolutely talk more about that.
Thanks so much, Janet, for bringing that up. That's a great point. Dr. Sandell loves to engage with our members, and she's open to doing that. I can't even imagine what her schedule looks like, because it seems like she's traveling all across the state every single week. But she is very, very passionate about it. So again, if you're interested, feel free to reach out to us, because she really wants to learn more about our members and physicians in Pennsylvania. So she's very open to doing so.
Avery, it's funny you said that, because as she was finishing up yesterday, she actually said, I think it's next week. She said, I have next week off. And I said, oh, Dr. Sandell, I hope that you're going on vacation. She goes, yep, I'm going to Washington for the AMA, for some AMA things. And then I have a county medical society meeting. I said, I thought you said you were off. She said, I'm just off from the ER. So she's really, really excited to engage.
Yes, she's always on the move, as you can tell. Um, but we're going to switch gears a little and we're going to briefly discuss kind of the overview of PA Med and what makes up our organization. So we're going to go a bit more in depth into these three little bubbles here. So that would be our member engagement, our physician leadership, and the organizational components. And these are also known as the heart, the muscle, and the backbone of PA Med. If you'll do next slide, please. So first component, which being on the membership team, all of them are important, but especially for Janet and I, this is a crucial component. So this is our member engagement. And this includes a couple things. So the first being the foundation, and the foundation is the one that is known as the heart. It's our philanthropic arm, and that is where we receive donations, whether that be to put that into a program or for scholarships for our med students. We have a lot of great opportunities from the donations that we get through the foundation. We also have a physician's health program that kind of resides in the foundation side, which addresses physicians who might be struggling mentally or are experiencing some challenges. We have great experts to talk with you privately and help get you all situated. And we also have Lifeguard, which is kind of a similar program to PHP in the sense of helping physicians who may be struggling with some things right now. Next, we have our county medical societies. So Janet and I really do try to stay in touch and collaborate with the various county medical societies across PA. Some are definitely more active than others, but regardless, if you become a member of PA Med, you are automatically a part of your respective county. So whether that be the county that you work in or the one that you live in, you will be a member, and those costs will be included in your membership dues for PA Med. But essentially, the county medical societies are great in terms of collaboration and really allowing Janet and I to reach our members across the state and to understand the different challenges or services or resources that they're looking to have, to kind of see if there's a pattern that we're experiencing, and just to come together with the county medical societies to see how we can better serve our members. We also have teams, which sometimes can be confusing to some because it is a part of PA Med, but it's a little bit separate. This kind of encompasses our meeting managers. So we have a lot of physicians that are in specialty organizations or associations, and they want to plan a conference or they want to plan an award ceremony, but they want to do it in Georgia or something like that. Our teams department, they are the meeting managers. They're the ones who are booking the hotels, booking the venues, making sure that the agenda for the meeting is correct. And they do this both nationally and internationally. I know they've had some opportunities to collaborate. So it really isn't just PA. They really deal with healthcare professionals across, I guess, across the world if it's internationally. So they're a great resource if you're looking to plan special type of events, and it is an additional cost, but if you are a PA Med member, it's easy to kind of get in touch with them. Then we have our PAC, which is leaning more towards the political side of PA Med. This is also where we receive some donations. The donations that we receive,
it's Michelle. I'm sorry to bug you.
they don't go towards an endorsement per se of a candidate, but more so we put those donations towards advocacy efforts and legislation that might impact medicine in PA. So we really try to use those donations to focus on what our physicians care about, and that also helps us identify the priorities. Did I cover all the components, Janet, on the first one? Okay. So moving on to the second one, this is the physician leadership side. This encompasses, of course, our board of trustees, which makes up PA Med members. A lot of them are leaders. So of course, one of them is Dr. Sandell, but then we have some other members who have been with us for a long time who have stepped into leadership roles. And the Board of Trustees is where they make a lot of executive decisions. They talk about bylaws and kind of things that they are seeing in their hospitals, in their practices, and sharing that with PA Med to say, these are what our physicians need, this is what we would like to see. And we kind of collaborate to see how we might be able to achieve that. We also have our House of Delegates, which is more commonly known as HOD, and that is our annual business meeting. Similarly, a lot of our any bylaw changes or anything new that we introduce into our membership and into our benefits, a lot of it is discussed and passed or not passed at HOD. We also have delegates who sign up and they can either attend on behalf of PA Med or on behalf of their county to really talk through resolutions and the legislation that's being focused on at the HOD. So this is where you can get really involved if you're interested in advocacy or more of the political governmental influence that is on healthcare. And then we have committees. I'm just going to give a couple examples that we have. So I briefly mentioned our Emergency Department Overcrowding Task Force that is no longer because it moved a bit higher than PA Med, which is awesome. But we also have our Healthcare Diversity Task Force, which, Jenna, I'm not sure if that's new or if that's always been a thing. Do you know anything about that task force? Since
Many
I'm
of
not so familiar.
Yep, that's okay. Many of our task forces are formed for short term. If they were long term, they would come into some kind of a more robust initiative. So most of our task forces are created with the intention of finding the members who or leaders who are interested in participating and then utilizing that participation to create the next steps, and then it advances to something different.
Thank you, Janet. Yeah, it's great having Janet here because she's a PA Med expert and I'm still kind of learning. So thank you for that. And then lastly, I want to briefly talk about our sections, which bear with me, we've got a few. So our sections are also sometimes decided at the House of Delegates if we realize that a certain group of physicians really want to connect, or we're having a bunch of physicians really passionate about one issue in healthcare that really affects them. Say you're a resident and there's something that is, I would say, impacting your learning. This is where you get to connect with colleagues and people of kind of the same mindset as you. So in terms of sections, we currently have our women's physician section, our resident and fellow section, our medical student section, our international medical graduate section, our early career physician section, and our independent practice physicians caucus, which I believe will be discussed about turning into an official section at this year's HOD. So these are great ways to get involved, again, with people who might care about the same things as you in healthcare, have the same interest, or are working towards a common goal. Jana, you have anything to add?
I do. One of the things that becomes a little bit of a confusion and a misconception for our members are that they might have to take a special step to get involved in our section. So when you become a member, if you fall into any of the categories that Avery just listed, you will automatically, quote unquote, become a member of that section. So if you are an independent practicing physician, you fall into that caucus or that section. If you are a woman physician, you automatically are part of the WPS. You do not have to be active. You don't pay additional dues. What you have is access to the leadership, the members, and the offerings that they provide. So if that's something that you're interested in, one of the things that we've noticed in the last couple of years is that people don't realize that that some of those events and meetings and collaborations are occurring. So we're just trying to simply let our members know that you are there, if they're there for you and you become part of that. And if you want to get more engaged in any or many of the above listed, we can help you do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Janet. And I know there is a slide a little bit further about sections, so we'll discuss a bit more about that then. But if you want to move to the third component, please. So our third and final component is our organizational component. So that includes our healthcare operations department, which is our team of experts that deals with anything practice related. So maybe you need help in opening a practice. Maybe you need help, your physician, or you're a physician yourself and you're retiring and you have your own practice, not quite sure what to do, maybe with the medical records that you have on file, or all the little pieces that go into closing a practice. They are there for you. They're also there for payer issues, coding, all of that stuff. And physicians definitely benefit, but I would also say our administrators, this is a highly utilized resource because they are familiar with coding and all the other rules that you have to follow. So this is a great resource, and they have their own landing page on our website if you are interested in learning a bit more about what they do and how they might be able to help. Then we have our CME, which is extraordinary, especially if you're a member. You get a lot of, I would say, discounts from where you might be seeking your education elsewhere. We have our opioid, child abuse, and education towards patient safety and risk management, which I know we have another slide about CME as well. So if there are any questions, we can dive a bit more into that. But along with CME, we also have a great licensure resource center, which addresses a lot of common questions. Whether you're not sure which license type you fall into, or you're not sure how to renew your license, or you're having trouble, there are a lot of resources in that area. Additionally, we have a great communications team. This involves our weekly newsletter, The Dose. And if this is the first time you're hearing of it, please let us know. As a member, this is a resource that you should be receiving every single week. It is emailed to you every Thursday, and then there is a special legislative edition that specifically focuses on what our governmental relations team has been monitoring up at the Capitol, and that is every third Thursday of the month. So again, if this is the first time you're like, The Dose, this seems cool, but I've never gotten that, please let us know and we can assist you in receiving that. And then lastly, PMed is very big on advocacy, not only for physicians, but also for patients. So again, we have a governmental relations team that works very closely with our state legislators. They're at the Capitol a majority of the time. I rarely see them in office because they're doing a lot of work up there, building the relationships and monitoring any legislation that could possibly affect our physicians, whether it's beneficial or not so much. They're always monitoring that, and they're providing us great updates, again, which can be seen in the Dose or on our website, as they also have their own page. You go to the next slide, please. Okay, so I knew we had another slide about the sections. So this I just took from our website, and it's kind of just showing the branding and the names of all the sections. But Jana did bring up a good point. I feel like a lot of our members feel like there's an additional step that you need to take in order to be involved in this. The only step, I guess, is if you want to reach out to the staff lead of the sections. So the staff leads of the section, they don't determine, excuse me, they don't determine what is talked about or how the conversation is going to go. We are simply there just for guidance, or if you have a question in terms of PMed resources, or if it is something that PMed might be able to help you in your section with. So in terms of Janet and I, we staff 3. We co-staff them. We co-staff the medical student section, the resident and fellow section, as well as the International Medical Graduate section. But then, of course, we have other staff leads for the remaining sections. So if you are interested in getting involved and you just want to learn a bit more, please reach out, because we can give you the contact and connect you with the staff lead if you want to learn a bit more about a certain section. Next, please. Okay, backing up to our CME again, we have an extraordinary amount of resources. We have an extraordinary team. A lot of the times, if members ask about requirements for licensure, I know I am not an expert at all. I'm still learning, so I always pass them over to our CME team, who is always happy to help. We just decided to include a couple snippets on here of what you can find. So, and on the left, we have our PMed Licensure Resource Center, which I briefly mentioned. It kind of goes through the different license types, who applies for what. Then it also, of course, lists the education requirements for both MDs, DOs. It also lists the renewal fee as well as the deadline to renew. We also have resources and a sort of a collaboration in a sense with PALS. So we're not experts, but we do have some information that you can find here. And of course, there's contact information, and that includes contact information for PA Med, for PALS, and for the state board. Additionally, we have a license renewal checklist, which can be seen better on the next slide. And I would encourage you to go on our website if you're renewing your license. It is a very, very helpful resource. And then on the right just shows a little bit of the CME that we offer outside of the opioid, the child abuse, and credits that can count towards patient safety and risk management. Janet, do you have anything to add about CME or?
The only thing that I did want to add is, with this being a licensure year, looking at that checklist and realizing a couple of the components are sometimes challenging to find. Our child abuse recognition and reporting is available at no charge. That's a specific requirement for your renewal, as well as opioid, which we have, I believe we have up to 6 hours where you only need 2, but we have up to 6 hours available. And then our CME consult will help our members satisfy their patient safety risk management. And you can find all of those. The 9 tiles that you're looking at with the different descriptions, those are all tiles on our website that once you click them, you go ahead and you get entered into the program. You get to take the CME, and once successful, you either get to download a certificate or it goes into your CME tracker, which we manage for you.
And I'm glad you mentioned the tracker, because I was actually on my little notes and I was focused on talking about the other things. Next slide, please. So the last slide I'm going to talk about, and then I'll hand it over to Janet, is the licensure renewal checklist for this year. This is only the first page. It does have, I believe, 2 other pages attached to it. But this is an awesome resource. Not only physicians use it, but I was just having a conversation with an administrator, and she says every single year she prints it out, she marks it up, and she says it is so useful. Because it lists everything out very simply for you. Again, DOs and MDs, they have a little bit of different requirements, so they're listed. But on the other pages that you can find if you want to access the full document, excuse me, it actually provides resources and links as to where you might be able to fulfill your education, or if you have questions, it'll tell you to go to our resource center, things like that. If you are interested in having this document on file, please just feel free to either reach out or say something in the chat, and I'd be more than happy to email it to you in a file, because like I said, it does have a couple extra pages, but please feel free to let me know and I'd be happy to do that. But at this point, I'm going to let Janet kind of share the rest about PA Med. And if you have any questions, again, I will be looking at the chat as Janet goes through.
Thanks, Avery. And to Avery's point, this is one of those documents that I too keep on my desk. I have little notes beside of it, because even though license renewal is something that happens every 2 years for a practicing physician, there are things that change over the years, and there are sometimes challenges and questions. So we have put into paper what we have on our resource guide, and we absolutely encourage you to reach out with questions if you can't find the answers that you need, or if you need any assistance with that. Kind of in follow-up to that, we have been working with the State Board of Medicine because there have been changes in the PALS system, because we do get an extraordinary amount, especially this time of year in a license renewal year, of questions from our members who are challenged with accessing the PALS system. Maybe they're challenged with uploading documentation or answering some of the questions in one way or another. The state board has created these two videos for us. And again, to Avery's point, we will put some information in a follow-up email to you. But this will be in there, and these are actually linked to the videos for your respective licensure boards. And so if you are having any issues, or if you know someone who is, maybe you have got your license already is all set and you're ready and you don't have any questions, but you might know somebody who does. Feel free to share these videos with them because they are going to be helpful. They're somewhat bland, but they're very, very helpful because they include the information that you need. So connecting with PA Med, and Avery has nicely sprinkled some of our connection points over to you as we talk, because connecting with our members is one of our key focuses, because we want to make sure that you are familiar with what's going on, you have access to where to find, and you know what things that we're working on. So your member website account. Similarly, when Avery mentioned the dose, and I'm not going to go too far into it because she had already mentioned it, but similarly to the dose, if you have not yet logged into your PA Med account on our website, please do that. If you need help with creating an account or maybe resetting a password, if the password reset button doesn't work, reach out to us or our call center to help you, because what will happen is, as a non-member, as just a visiting party to our website, you can see a little bit about a whole lot of information. Once you get logged in, you get access to everything. So some of our documents, some of our resource centers, you're able to see what it might include, but you're not able to actually click through the tabs unless if you're logged in as a member. That's our way of saying thank you for being a member, and we appreciate you. So we want to give you just a little bit more than we give the average physician. So making sure that you have either created an account or log in. If you are active in any of our sections, maybe you're a delegate for the House of Delegates, maybe you work with our healthcare operations team, going to the website, if you don't have time to make a call to us, and using our search function is fantastic, because you will oftentimes find some of the answers that you need. So if you're technically savvy, please feel free to play around, because there is a robust amount of information available to you. Likewise, again, you can always call us. So we have our member inquiry center, which on every page of our website, you will find a connection point to click a button and connect with us. We encourage you to do that. If for some reason you get the follow-up from Avery and I from this call and you lose our contact information, have no fear, go to the website, grab that contact form and go ahead and send it to us. Additionally, though, you can call the number at the bottom of our screen, and during normal business hours, every once in a while it fluctuates. I believe I always get confused if it's 8:30 to 4 or 8 to 4:30.
I think it's 8:30 to 4.
I think that you're
Don't
right.
quote me.
I think that you're right. But calling, you will get a live individual. And if by chance you don't get a live individual, and we really pride ourselves on that, if you don't get a live individual, you will get a follow-up call in a very reasonable amount of time. We take pride in making sure that our members are helped and are connected with. So please don't ever hesitate to use the phone number. If you need something quick, I would suggest using the phone number rather than the inquiry center, simply because you'll get a quicker answer. And then connecting with our leaders. So maybe you're a member of a county medical society and you don't know how to find them. You can find that on our website, or again, you can ask us. But more importantly, many times we have physicians who they have something that they want to share with either their district trustees. So our board is created from district as well as specialty trustees. Basically what that means is you are represented from a regional perspective as well as from a section perspective, or I'm sorry, a specialty, I didn't mean section, a specialties perspective. In addition to that, you're also represented from a section perspective if you are part of one of our sections. But being able to connect with our leaders, sometimes that can be really overwhelming for our leaders, because Pennsylvania is a really, really, really big state and we have a lot of physicians. So we have created a Be Heard page where those our individuals, our members are able to go to the Be Heard page, and you're able to find, maybe it's a board member, maybe it's Dr. Sandell as the president, maybe it's your district trustee. You're able to in turn simply connect with our leaders, and they will get back to you, or they will forward that information to us. Excuse me, maybe it's one of those cases where they don't know the logistics or the details, and they'll give that to us for a follow-up. But if at any time you're interested in connecting with a leader, whether it be a county leader or a PA Med leader, again, reaching out through our Be Heard, through our member inquiry center, through Avery and I, we can help that connection point happen, because that's the way that you get to have your voice heard. And that's one of the reasons why we created that portion of our website. This is one of the most fun parts of Avery's and my job that we get to do, is we sometimes get to honor physicians, and we get to honor our members for the jobs that they do, and jobs well done, and going above and beyond the call of duty. One of my favorite awards, and I think that by default, I've helped Avery create her favorite award, is our Everyday Hero Award. That is an award that we present on an ongoing basis. There isn't a time frame to it. It doesn't happen on a specific schedule. It happens when we receive a nomination regarding one of our member physicians who has gone above and beyond. Someone, and that someone could be a peer, it could be a family member, a patient, a colleague, an administrative staff. Someone feels that physician is extraordinary for whatever reason. They submit a nomination that goes to our nomination committee. And once selected, we get to then present them with a nice little award, and we allow them, this is neat to talk about during Dr. Sandell's presidency, because we allow them to take a moment out of their stressful day and honor them. Maybe it's 15-20 minutes, but we get to take that 15-20 minutes and celebrate the joy of simply being a physician. And so if you know someone who fits into that, going above and beyond, always doing, taking the extra step, being extraordinary, please feel free to nominate them. Excuse me. We just last weekend had the ability to honor, I don't know how many were in attendance. I believe that we had at least 30. I'm not sure, of our top physicians under 40. So annually, we honor top physicians under 40. Those nominations will open back up in, I believe, late November, early December, with a deadline typically of mid-January. So if you know a physician who are in early stages of their career that you want to nominate for that top physician under 40, be on the lookout for that. We will include that in our communications. We want you to nominate those that you know. We don't have the ability to know who is exceptional and who's going above and beyond. So that's where we lean to our members and their peers or colleagues or significant others. And then we also have a couple annual awards. Those rotate a little bit, but additionally, this past weekend, we were able to honor Dr. Hall for the Distinguished Service Award. And that is something that is the biggest honor that PA Med has. And it was really kind of neat, because as we have this room of 70 people who are being honored, or whose family members were being honored, we also got to watch her receive one of the biggest awards that PA Med offers, and not offers, but I guess awards. And we got to see the pride that not only she had, but that her family had as well. So know that the Everyday Hero is ongoing. We don't have a slide on here about, or yes, we do. You know what? Mine's covered by the chat. We do also honor for Doctor's Day. I was thinking that was a different award. We do honor for Doctor's Day. Keep that in the back of your mind. Again, that will open up in January. Doctor's Day is always the last week of March. And I apologize. We always set aside the closest day to Doctor's Day. Doctor's Day, if it falls on a weekend, it's a really hard day to try and get connected with people. But the last couple of years, we've been able to take the time to go out and deliver some of those awards. If we're not able to deliver in person, we send them in the mail, but it's a really neat way to simply say, we value you and we honor you and we want the medical society to help. So keep our awards in mind. If you ever have any questions, let us know, and please nominate when you feel that's appropriate. So we have some upcoming events. This is something that we started doing a couple months ago with these calls, as we started looking at what does our schedule look like from an organization's perspective, and how can we share some of the information that is available to all of you that maybe you've missed, maybe you haven't seen it in the dose, or you've overlooked an email that you received. So we wanted to let you know, it's really short notice at this point, but the MedX Pennsylvania Primary Care Conference is this weekend. Avery is actually going to be there. She has a table. PA Med is a co-sponsor for that event. It's a 2-day event. It's completely free. It has a significant amount of CME attached to it. And I believe, and Avery, if you know this and I'm incorrect, correct me, please. I believe that it is geared towards not only primary care, but also internal medicine, as well as extenders, correct?
Yes, there's a bunch. So dentists will be there, PAs, so they're going to be doing a bunch of different types of education. You can look at their schedule online. And I also wanted to mention, if you're interested in going, but you don't want to travel to Harrisburg, there is also a virtual option as well. So if you are interested in that, I would say I don't want to include it in the follow-up because it's tomorrow. Just send a chat and I can send the link as to where you can register. So feel free if you're interested.
And great point about adding that it is virtual. It's a nice option that, you know, a long conference like that isn't necessarily ideal to take virtually, but maybe you can join it for pieces of it. If you don't send a chat, but you think about this later and say, wow, I have the ability to attend some of that, you can also go to our website, and we've got in several different places, we have this, the link to this conference available. So you can also click in. I don't know how hard it will be to register at this stage of the game because it is tomorrow. But I'm certain that they're probably open to accepting reservations still. Additionally, for those of you who are administrators, and if you're not an administrator, this is a great thing to pass along to your administrators, is next Wednesday is our, I was second guessing myself, is our practice administrator meeting. So we have a fall administrative meeting every year. It's held virtually simply because we get to have as many people participate as possible. It is typically scheduled from 1 to 3. It's via Zoom. Again, there's no charge for that. That is actually run by our healthcare operations team. So the greatness in that is all of the things practice related, all of the updates or the upcoming deadlines, that is where you would receive those updates. It is a great opportunity to meet some of our healthcare operations staff, as well as get those get access to the information or what's coming down the pike. So keeping that in mind, I do know that you can register for that up until the day before. And if something happened and you needed to register that morning, we could make that happen for you as well. And then our next Membership Matters Connection call is October 29th at noon. These will be held now. We are going to start holding them the last Tuesday of the month, moving forward through 2025. So if you want to put that on your calendar, maybe you share that with some of your peers or your colleagues. One of the things that Avery and I are working on now is to find different speakers. So this was more robust about membership as a whole, PA Med as a whole. But one of the things that we're going to do in 2025 is we are going to implement speakers. So maybe it will be a partner, maybe it will be different experts from our organization. We will do our best to promote those as far in advance as possible, so that if the topic is of particular interest to you or someone that you know, you can absolutely share that registration link. With all that being said, we want to be able to help you. Our job is to help you gain access and help you enjoy your membership and make the most of it. So if anyone has any questions, now would be a wonderful time for you to either put them in the chat. You are also welcome to unmute yourself and ask. And if there's anything additional that you might like to see included in the follow-up, Avery is spot on with our call follow-up. And so she will always put links that we've talked about. She'll put some helpful tips, or if we receive any questions, she'll include information about that. And if there's anything additional that you'd like for us to include in that follow-up, you can put it in the chat or let us know now, and we can absolutely include it.